environment workers have managed to contain a spill of 650 litres of diesel into the Basingstoke Canal in Woking. Let's take you there. Adrian Harms is in the town for us this morning. And where do we find you, Harmsy? What do we know?
Yeah, morning, James. Well, I'm actually right next to the light box, which is right in the heart of Woking. For those people who know Woking, and actually right by the Chobham Road Bridge. Now, it was here, James, last Thursday, where a delivery truck hit a bollard. Now, the fuel tank of the vehicle into the Basingstoke Canal. Now, I'm standing right next to the canal this morning, James, and what I can see, there are three blue and white booms right across the river, right underneath the road bridge here, and these are designed to stop the diesel spilling further down the middle. As I look down at the river this morning, James, like I said, there's all sorts of debris in the river here that the boom has stopped, but also you can see on the water sort of a film of what looks like oil or diesel as well. Now, the good news is that the boom is definitely doing its job here, because the diesel hasn't spilt any further down the canal here. It looks like this has been contained, which is good news, but this could have perhaps been a lot worse than it has been, James, which is perhaps some good news.
Right, so what advice is given to those who use the canal? It's not particularly busy as far as, people on the actual water, but what advice are people in the area?
No, you're right, James. I mean, as I'm talking to you now, there's a couple of fellas just cycling along the edge of the canal here as well. And I know a lot of people walk their dogs along here as well. And in terms of dogs, owners of dogs have been warned not to let them swim in the contaminated water here in the canal. And boats, canoes, paddleboards or kayaks have been banned from the canal between St John's Locks and Shearwater Locks, which aren't too far away from here, James. But the booms are in place, and I have to say, James, it looks as if they're doing their job at the moment.
Yeah, it's mildly ironic. You're right beside the WWF building there as well, aren't you? Just over the other side.
Absolutely, James. Right in the heart of town, and literally just 100 yards from where I'm staying is the World Wildlife Fund offices.
Right, OK, Adrian, they're on site. Well, let's bring in Councillor Paul Deach, who's the Deputy Cabinet Member for Environment at Surrey County Council. Morning to you, Paul.
Morning, James.
Right, so run us through exactly what happened last Thursday, then.
Well, basically a delivery truck. I mean, Harmsy has nailed it, actually. A delivery truck hit some street furniture, some bollards, and it ruptured its fuel tank. And unfortunately, its load went into a storm drain and directly into the canal. And it was the Surrey Fire and Rescue Service were on scene and managed to plug the rupture. So luckily, not all the fuel tank went into the canal, but unfortunately 650 litres or thereabouts was discharged into the canal.
Right, OK, so it's quite a long stretch we're talking about, isn't it?
Well, actually, where it happened, again, Harmsy has done a good job in explaining that they managed, the Environment Agency, or the lead agency, were on site very quickly to respond to the incident, and managed to, by deploying these oil booms, managed to contain it very, very quickly. So the actual site, the affected site, is a very small area. But, they have, as already been mentioned, the area that they've sort of closed off is from St John's Locks to Shearwater Locks. And that's mostly a precaution, that length, just to make sure it doesn't spread into some of, the other parts of the waterway.
Right. So what are you going to do with it?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you say that again, please? What
are you actually going to do with the oil? What happens next?
Well, so what's happening now is the Environment Agency and the truck companies' insurers have deployed specialist consultants to the area that are putting these absorbent mats on the water that absorb all the diesel, and they hope to have that clean-up operation completed by this week.
Right, please tell me that. I got my council tax bill yesterday. Please tell me that this is all off the lorry driver company insurance.
It absolutely is, and this is quite standard practice. Although these incidents are very, very rare, it is standard practice that the polluter, in this case, the van company or the truck company, their insurers, pay for the whole clean-up operation.
Right. So obviously, there's a process that everything has to go through, as well as working out who is going to take responsibility when they're going to do it. But at what time, how long timeline is it before it'll all be cleaned up?
Well, the hope is that it's going to be completed this week, but these processes do take time. We don't want to rush them. We want to make sure that the job is done properly. The Environment Agency are on site, keeping a close eye on the situation, as are the Basingstoke Canal Authority waterway rangers. Making sure that everything is done properly. Thankfully, the impact on wildlife has actually been very, very small. So because it's in an urban area and contained to an urban area, there isn't a lot of wildlife there. So thankfully, the impact has been very, very small.
Right, and any way of stopping it possibly happening again?
Well, it's such an unfortunate incident, a very rare incident. Basically, the truck was on the main road going about its business, hit that bollard, and just very unlucky for Woking, it entered a storm drain and into the canal. I mean, I think like I say, these incidents are very, very rare, very unfortunate. It could happen again, I suppose, but those storm drains are there to do a job. Just very, very unlucky.
Good talking to you, Paul. Thank you. Councillor Paul Deach, Deputy Cabinet Member for Environment at Surrey County Council. Let's just take you back beside the canal. This time of day, Adrian Harmsey, there's normally loads of people out walking, aren't there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's a lot of people walking, James. There's a lot of people running. There's a fellow running down the far side of this canal as I'm talking. There's people cycling along here. So this is a busy part of the canal. What I would say, James, is that Paul was talking about these absorbent mats which they've got in the river here to soak up some of the residue diesel. And I can see those. They're blue mats, and they're just sort of floating on the top of the water here. They're being held back by the boom as well. And as Paul was explaining, the idea is that these will absorb any of the diesel that is still left in the canal here. And as I say, you can just see on the top of the water, there is a film of sort of oily sort of gunk that's here as well. But the great news is the boom and the absorbent mats are really doing their job.
All right, we'll let you go and find a coffee, Harmsey. And
cheers. Thanks, James.
It's a nice chilly morning for you to be out. By the way, just to warn you, you're working tomorrow. It's going to be -5.
I am working tomorrow, so I'll have the long johns on. And I have to say, James, I got the hit bit right as well this morning.
Look at you. You're a star in the making. Adrian Harms works out a 60s song. Brilliant. 13 minutes past 7 o'clock.